Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order, March 26th, Tuesday at 7 p.m. At this time, if you would like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd like you to stand, and I'd like Secretary Frank Peterman to come forward. He's a reverend, and he is going to do a prayer of governance for us tonight.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And also the rest of the council, God bless you. And I wish Godspeed over you all. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come praising your name and thank you for this wonderful day, a very beautiful day that is you created. For this is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Lord, we ask that you bless, Lord, this governing body, that the Spirit of God will lead them in all truth, that they will rightly discern what it is they are, Lord, looking at in their books and on the agenda. That the Spirit of God will lead them and give them great wisdom and judgment over, Lord, this proceeding. Bless them now. Bless us all in this building. Bless the staff. Bless, Lord, all who witnessed, Lord, this wonderful time. And, Lord, this governing body. We thank you now, Lord. We praise your name. We know, Lord, that you are taken to a higher place in you. We ask this prayer in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Deanne, will you take the roll, please?
Commissioner Fry,
Here.
Commissioner Hanna,
Here.
Commissioner Cooknagel,
Here.
Commissioner Palumbo,
Here.
Mayor Kennedy.
Here. Thank you. At first, our agenda item number 1A is a report from the Sheriff's Department. Good evening. Would you like to come forward? Just so that you know, every commission meeting from 6:45 to 7, the sheriff is here. If you would like to talk to him personally, you can.
Good evening, everyone. The city, or the month of February, there was 18 people arrested in the city with a total of 27 charges. Most of those were misdemeanors. We had 4 felonies that were more possession oriented. DUIs are definitely being enforced in the city. On just my shift alone, I think we had 5 this past month. There were a total of 947 city events with 1,267 deputies responding to them. Primarily traffic stops are what's taking up most of our time. House checks and beach searches and such are still being conducted. 5 traffic crashes were investigated in the city with spread pretty much all over. Gulf Boulevard and Fifth Avenue tend to be the hot spot. It's only 2 there, 1 in places. A total of 444 citation warnings were issued, or I should say citations period. 355 of those were just warnings. And those are parking and community violations.
Does anyone have any questions for the sheriff? Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I have 2 presentations that I'd like to do since we have so many people in the audience tonight. And with that, I'd like for Maria and Matt Loder to come up to the podium. Well, if you don't know Matt and Maria, you should know them because they are the owners of Krabby Bill's, and they've been in our community for over 40 years, starting with their father. And as mayor, since we've been together last March, I just thought that there were some people that we should single out for their great partnerships with our community, with all of our groups, but also with our city. And so tonight, I would like to give both of you a plaque I don't know if anyone has ever done that, but it means a lot to me that all that you do for all of our groups. And this plaque says, presented to Matt and Maria Loader for your giving spirit, dedication, and love of the community in the city of Indian Rocks Beach. And if you would like to say something, you can.
I'm just very honored, and I can tell you that what we do, we love this city. It's my home. We live in Seminole, but really Indian Rocks is our home, and we love the residents. It's just a great place to be, and we're honored. What we do, we love to do. So
we're very proud to be a part of this community. You know, we're blessed to have a lot of other businesses, whether it's in St. Pete Beach or Clearwater Beach, have had businesses in other different communities in our Gulf beaches and around Pinellas County and in Florida, but I can tell you that no place is like Indian Rocks Beach. It's a great community. It's a great spirit here amongst the residents and the people. We're just very proud to be a part of that. If there was ever a place for us to have our long-term family legacy business, this is the perfect place for us. We were blessed to be able to have that opportunity to be here, and we're glad to continue to be here, and we hope that our children and our grandchildren will also keep our family business in this community for a long, long time. This will always be home to us. Thank you all.
This is also a very, very special presentation. I have two of my most favorites here tonight, three of them. Mary Rose, please come forward, Holmes. So, Saturday, in case you didn't know this, Mary Rose, her documentary was in the Gasparilla Film Festival, and it was voted the People's Choice Award at the film festival. So, how exciting. Her documentary is all about Indian Rocks Beach. Now, how could we ask for anything better? So, I would like you to talk a little bit about what you've been doing and the Plein Air Cottage Artist, and then Mrs. Ryan.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored. I'm representing, as you know, the Plein Air Cottage Artists. It's not just me. And who made this documentary possible was all of you. I'm going to read out because I'm afraid I'll miss someone, so I'm going to read out about the documentary. First of all, it was an honor to get selected to be in the Gasparilla Film Festival. It's very hard to get in. And like Cookie said, Mayor Cookie Kennedy said, what an honor. What town has a documentary made about them? What town does have a documentary about them? I don't even think New York City has had a documentary about them. So we were thrilled. And now this, not only have we had a documentary made about Indian Rocks Beach, but it was selected for the Gasparilla Film Festival, and it won. This is what it won. I'm going to do like Trump, I'm going to say it 3 times. Save Our Cottages documentary has won the Gasparilla International Film Festival Audience Award, I'm out of breath, for the best Florida production. A huge honor. And it will probably go on to be in more festivals and hopefully win more awards. But we couldn't have done it without all of you all. So I want to say a thank you to all the people in our beautiful seaside town that helped make this possible. Our mayor, our commissioners, our city manager, and so many more. Action 2000, IRB Homes Owners Association, our whole finance committee, the IRB History Museum, the IRB Beach Arts Center, Krabby's, and many other Indian Rocks Beach citizens that supported us, encouraged us, came up on the street and said, that's wonderful, keep going. And this international award-winning documentary will undoubtedly bring even more tourists and visitors to our city and will bring a greater prosperity to our town, which is already prospering. And last, to Indian Rocks Beach, thank you for the love.
With that, we'll go to public comments, which are 3 minutes. Any member of the audience may come forward give his or her name or address and state any comment or concern that he or she may have regarding any matter over which the city commission has control, excluding agenda items.
Bill Roble, 112 13th Avenue, and from a person from the civic side of the city and organizing and volunteering since I moved here in '97, half of what we have done or I have done with the homeowners, and I'm sure the other organizations will agree, could not have been accomplished without the loaders. Unbelievable. First of all, real quick, nothing I haven't set up there before, golf carts on the sidewalk. I actually saw a golf cart turn on 20th, ride down the sidewalk to the crosswalk, push the button so they could drive across Golf Boulevard through the walkway. I mean, it's getting worse and worse, and we do have the workshop coming up about Golf Boulevard and everything. After the meeting that first Sunday, I'm going down Golf Boulevard, 8:30 in the morning, and cars are lined up like crazy. I finally saw around the 7 cars that were in front of me. Sure enough, there were 4 bicycles abreast, just going at their speed, nonstop. One thing I'd like to congratulate Deanne, I don't know how many of you know this, but she has been in the city now 25 years. And that's just something that really doesn't happen very much nowadays, that people stay somewhere that long, and she's very valuable to our city. I'm very proud to say that I know her and have worked with her. The other thing, Pocket Park, that was a great thing, and done by grants and by the associations. That's another great thing. And then I would like to have this put into the minutes, and I don't know if you can give the commissioners one. That was from our, when you're done being a commissioner, you have a final meeting, an exit meeting, and you know, things that you hope would have been accomplished and what hope can be accomplished going forward. And that's just, I would like that put into the minutes. Thank you.
Before you sit down, Phil, I just want to say thank you from the commission for your service. It was wonderful, and you always had valuable comments. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
For your time.
Thank you. And not to make a negative comment, but this past week, walking through Publix, a couple people, Phil, I voted for you. Congratulations. It ain't nothing, but it's been happening for 10 years.
So anyone else who'd like to come forward?
House 2104 Beach Trail. I was standing back there watching everything, and I said, you know, I can probably say I never voted for any of y'all, but y'all probably all could say the same thing about me. So I was trying to come up, I was dusting off my 50-year-old Latin, trying to come up with a phrase for that. And the first thing that came up was Gallias Luis on part, but I said Caesar's commentaries don't apply to that. So I came up with no amigos cartate. But anyway, that's not why I'm here tonight. And I've been thinking about this for about 9 months, and I'm not going to have any friends when I walk out here tonight. But that's okay. I'm not having a party next week. So I figured we'd just wait till the commission got all kumbaya-ish, and we pretty much got the poster child for that tonight. It's time to address removing Joanne Kennedy as our mayor. When Kennedy was running for mayor, and she violated our city code and got cited with a felony, they got reduced to misdemeanor. I was upset, but I just let it go, and I figured we'll just wait till she gets elected and see how long it takes to mess up. So about three meetings later, 3 meetings, we dealt with commercial activity on the beach. 4 commissioners were astute enough to say, don't like it, we're going to change it, but it's our code, we have to enforce it. Kennedy said, we're not enforcing our city code. This is a direct violation of the oath of office. And as such, is to be removed as office, as mayor. It's in the code, you can look it up. I had some other stuff I was going to say, but it was a little tacky, so I'm not going to skip over all that. So, but this is a very important matter. And the thing that's really important is that all of y'all have taken an oath of office. It's not up to the city manager, the city clerk, or the city attorney to initiate this. It is the city commissioners. It's in the code, look it up. And if y'all don't do it, y'all are in violation of your oath of office. Welcome to the first meeting, Diane. So, but you did take an oath of office, and that's where it's at. I mean, I'm sorry, but I've been thinking about it 9 months, and if you tolerate one more of my redneck Latin, I think I came up with this one right. I think it's haec gravis, but I'm not sure about that. Anyway, we'll see what it is. That's the bottom line.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak at this time?
Madam Mayor, I'm certainly not a member of the city, but I've been.
Could you please state your name for the record, sir?
Frank Peterman. Certainly not a member of the city, but I've been coming here for quite a number of years. Various reasons, business as well as religious. So I've become accustomed to the fine work that you guys do. I'm a past city council member in the city of St. Petersburg, a past state legislator, and a cabinet member under the Charlie Crist administration when he was governor as Secretary of the Department of Juvenile Justice. So I know a little bit about municipalities and how they run. And I would say to you, many of the cities, 24 cities in this county, this is one of the finest cities I've ever seen. And you're very fortunate to have the kind of mayor you have. She's a wonderful leader, technically as well as she has a heart for the people. And so I certainly like to stand in my own shoes, very erect, and say to you, I'm glad that you have her as the mayor. And so I certainly support her and support this wonderful staff, the city manager, and the attorney, and all of the city council members and commissioners. Keep up the good work and keep taking this city to the next level.
Is there anyone else who'd like to come to this time?
Hello, R.D. Clemmer, 1216 Bayshore Boulevard. Well, Phil, I asked Cookie about 2404 First Street and the fence being out of code because it's backwards. The good side's facing Judy Seaside Cottages. But most of all, I like the gated look of that. Boy, I like those 6-foot gated fences. I think all of Indian Rocks Beach should just become a gated community because it's commercial property now. It should be almost mixed use, commercial, residential for everybody out here. Now, I think the way I do, because I've lived out here for 64 years, and I can't afford to live out here too much longer, I'm going to still hold on for a few more years. But if any of you can tell me about that code at 2404 First Street, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. One of the things I would like to address is that when you come up before this commission, it is not appropriate to single out a member of the commission. That is part of the 3 minutes. And just in going forward, I would appreciate it if you had anything to say that it's to the entire commission, not to be singled out any of the members. Thank you. Julie.
Julie Hoofnagel, 2 Fifth Avenue, Indian Rocks Beach. I'm going to address the entire commission. It's easy to get up here and say anything, and when you do direct it at one person or all of you, everybody's listening, and then sometimes you see people shake their heads, and they have no idea what's going on, what they're talking about. So I do think it's important, if you felt that way, that you should have told some people before that were Cookie Kennedy or the commission, but to go up there and to say something like that is, I think she said it. I want to tell you, your record stands for yourself. You all have done a great job, and Diane, welcome to the commission, and Phil, welcome back. We really appreciate the work you do.
Is there anyone else who'd like to come up at this time?
Thank you. Peter Savage, 1206 Gulf Boulevard, Union Ave. I came here to give a belated thank you to the city. Some months back I raised, this was last November, about the safety issue at the 12th Avenue Park during the Christmas tree lighting ceremony, that the children were so excited they were running up and down the property and getting in our conditioners. And I just made a simple request to the city to take a look at it. And several months later, the city put up a beautiful fence delineating our properties. And it was really a pleasant surprise. It was unexpected. I thought they would just put up a temporary fence, you know, one of those orange things with stakes. So I think the city sometimes doesn't get enough credit. You know, sometimes the city is like a doctor. People only come to the city because I need a variance, I need, you know, this is not right, this is not right. And so it was brought to my attention, the city doesn't get enough thank yous. I know it does a lot of good work. So but it was a nice personal thing that without any lobbying or complaining, the city took it upon itself and put up a fence for the betterment of the park and for our property next door. So, belated thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to come up at this time?
John Thayer, 1819 Bay Boulevard, and I didn't know Phil was going to talk about golf carts, but that's my subject too. It's been worse lately than ever because it's spring break, of course. But I wanted to get here earlier, and I wasn't able to talk to the sheriff about what the rules are on golf carts, or if there's any enforcement at all. I don't see any. There's been a big article in the St. Pete Times about problems down there with golf carts and ages of people running around in them. So I just wanted to have us look at golf carts. Bay Boulevard is like a racetrack for kids on golf carts. I guess because they're pouring out of 20th and North and South Harbor and going wherever they're going. But I don't know whether they have to have a driver's license, they have to be 16, or whether they only have to be 14. Some of these kids don't even look like they're 10 as well, and there's 5 or 6 of them hanging off these carts and looking at their cell phones. There's going to be a bad accident. Somebody's going to get their, it's going to be ugly. So I asked the city commission to maybe get with the sheriff and maybe talk about this issue, or either that or just step up what enforcement we have. Thank you.
John,
Yes.
one question. You said Bay Boulevard. Was there another street besides Bay Boulevard?
Well, I live on Bay Boulevard.
So that's the one that you...
That's the one I see. Well, I don't know. I've been run off the sidewalk between 9th and 11th of kids coming around the corner and getting over to another part of the city. I'm never on the sidewalk. I've also been behind them on the highway, which is no problem, but I believe they're supposed to have a license plate, and there were no license plates at all. It was just more kids and more golf carts. Okay, and I haven't seen any enforcement, I guess. And thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public who'd like to speak at this time? Come forward. If not, we will close the public comment. And with that, agenda item 3A, is there a report from the city attorney?
Yes, Madam Mayor, a few items to report for the benefit of the commission. First, we've had some discussions about the recent developments surrounding the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, and accessibility to websites and other digital media. Your city staff has been working diligently to modernize the city's infrastructure, digital infrastructure, to accommodate that, and to make accommodations where they're necessary. We continue to analyze the issue. I can tell you some communities in this county have already begun to see litigation about that in the neighboring counties, so there's a very real issue in the law. In addition to that issue, continue to work with the city manager on a host of other revisions to the city's code, including the sign code, alcohol beverage code, and other elements that we expect to come forward in the next 2 months. Beyond that, my 3 minutes are up there. Beyond that, more to the point, on Friday I sent each of you a memorandum summarizing the current legislative session and where things were at. Though it was sent on Friday, it was correct through last Tuesday. As I sit here today, there's a few things that I think I should bring to your attention. As we said in our talks last year, as we looked at the short-term rental legislation, anything we did was subject to anything that happens with Big Brother up in Tallahassee. I don't mean that in the I just mean that in the supervisory sense, not in the Georgia law sense. But in Tallahassee has two current forms of legislation proposed concerning short-term rental. The first is generally supported by the Florida League of Cities. Take that for what it means. That's not my endorsement one way or the other. But generally what that proposed law would do would be on a statewide basis to implement something like what we've done, create a licensing program, registration, etc. That bill and its Senate compatriot have not even been scheduled on any of their three committees. We're about halfway through session, and it's not really gained any traction. The counterpart, the bill that, the proposed legislation that a lot of municipalities are more concerned about is proposed legislation which would do away with the 2011 grandfathering provision, which is not relevant for our purposes, as we've said multiple times. However, a lot of what cities have done before that and since to adapt would be preempted. And you would be able to regulate short-term rentals as long as whatever you're applying applies to all residential homes, irrespective of whether or not they're operating a short-term rental or not. The scope of the preemption and the elimination of the grandfathering provision has given a lot of cause for concern for cities throughout Florida. While there are some who say this issue is ripe for statewide preemption, there are many more who, well, I don't know if there's more, but many who disagree. Today, the House and Senate bills were heard in were scheduled to be heard in their first committees. The Senate bill, the Senate version, because remember how the legislative process works in bicameral, has to go through both chambers and then they agree on a version. The Senate version of that was scheduled to be heard today, but they got bogged down in other agenda items and didn't get to it. The House version was scheduled to go today in its first committee. It passed, I want to say it was like 10-1. With one amendment. The loan amendment was an interesting one for those of you who have been following the divestiture discussion concerning places that boycott Israel. Airbnb has a policy of operating, it does operate short-term rentals in Israel proper. In the disputed territories of the West Bank and otherwise, it doesn't, because those are just, Airbnb's position is that because they are disputed territories, they do not allow for rentals there. Some lawmakers have perceived this as a form of boycotting Israel, and so as a result, they've taken, in Texas, they actually have a law passed in the last year or two, whereby if you are going somewhere on state-sponsored funds, let's say you're in San Antonio and you're going to Houston, you can't, as an educator from one university to the next, spend your money in an Airbnb and be reimbursed by the state. No money will be given to you. You could stay in a VRBO, but not an Airbnb. Similarly, that's all relevant because the only amendment today to the preemption law as it relates to short-term rentals was to say that Airbnb will not get the benefit of this statewide system so long as it continues to boycott Israel or operate in a manner that is characterized that way. So that was the only substantive amendment that was taken in its first committee. It still has two more, and it's moving forward. But what that would do is the way our short-term rental ordinance was drafted was very specific to places operating this way. We'll have to see what the language of the law ultimately is. It's conceivable that it would undo what we've done. Depending if the scope remains the same. Remember, every comma matters, and so depending on where things go, but in its current form, it would definitely be problematic for what we have on the books here. So that's one of the issues. There was, in my update, I pointed you to things that I thought might be more interesting being a beach community. There's a customary use on the beach statute. That one hasn't gone anywhere. There was another one about smoking on the beaches. That has not even been scheduled on a committee yet. There's another one on, another proposed law concerning the coastal management process and the criteria that DEP uses to consider in determining how it allocates its funding. That bill has passed the Senate Appropriations Subcommittee 10-0 and is now in the Senate Appropriations Committee. And the House version passed the House State Affairs Committee and is on the House calendar. So if you have interest in that, that one is moving along. There is one other bill, if you've heard of House Bill 3, that's been one that there's been a lot of lobbying and legislative efforts around. in its original form, House Bill 3 would have preempted the ability for local governments to regulate the licensing of occupations and professions and prohibit the enforcement of any regulation of a business unless the regulation is expressly authorized by general law. That was really, really broad. The regulation of a business could be construed as saying, we don't want adult entertainment located here, we don't want insert use here in a district. That would be the regulation of the businesses. It's a really, really big concern from the home rule side and from the Euclidean zoning side. It's been amended to significantly narrow the scope so that it's narrower to just occupational licensing. That could potentially still have a revenue impact for many cities, depending on what portion of your revenue comes from what historically has been called occupational licensing, what more recent terms has been business tax receipts. So that's those laws. Are there any questions about any of my legislative update or anything going on? I know it's really brief. I know master pack. So, with that, Mayor, that concludes my report.
Randy,
And I will continue to send legal or memoranda updating you on the status of the legislative session.
if there's anything as far as the short-term rentals that we could speak at one of the hearings, if you think it's appropriate, would you, since we've had such a, we've been very involved in losing our grandfather clause, if there was anything, is there an opportunity for us to speak?
Far be it for me to ever discourage anybody from being involved in the democratic process. I will tell you that at today's session there were 30 speakers before the committee as they went through their business. Cities from Popka to the Keys, all there represented, making the case known for why this is so important to local government to be able to regulate as it best fits their government and their community. What the Keys needs is not the same thing Cape Coral needs, it's not the same Orlando needs, etc. But every voice in the democratic process matters. Do I think that the city making itself specifically available or sending one of its emissaries or representatives to address that will sway the conversation substantially? Candidly, no. But I don't ever think there's anything lost by participating in the process, whether that be through writing or legislators. I think that's really where the better value is in contacting your local representatives if you have concerns one way or the other and informing them what those concerns are.
Thank you. Is there anyone who has any questions for the city attorney tonight? Okay.
Thank you.
Craig, would you like to give your report?
Please. I want to start off by thanking Phil Robel for his 2 years on the commission. It's I learned this working with 3 other local governments in a couple different states. It's always seems easier to be on this side of the dice than that side of the dice. So no matter what your politics are, it always means a lot for me, somebody that's been around local government as long as I have, for somebody to serve. Thanks, Phil, for your service. And I want to welcome Diane to the commission, the staff, and I look forward to working with you. And just like we did when Nick came on and Phil came on, we were having meetings with Diane and kind of going through the orientation process of what we're doing and what's going on. So welcome, Diane. I just want to give you an update on a few things. Let me address golf carts briefly. There is a requirement if you operate a golf cart in the city that you have to have a driver's license. So if a resident sees a group of young folks that they believe may not be of age, but I will tell you have to be careful about that because the older I get, the younger people look. And then it turns out that the person I think is 12 is 18 or 19. But what I encourage the public to do is, we always have 2 deputies on ship, but depending on what the day of the time of the night is, they're out doing different things. If anybody sees somebody operating a golf cart they believe to be underage, you just need to call the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office dispatch and let them head that way. That's the best way to do it. I would just tell you they actively give notice to parents, to call parents, to brought parents in. They catch all of them though, just like we don't, the Sheriff's Office doesn't catch all of other people that are violating codes. But that's the best thing to do. If you see something that's unsafe, and I've seen the same thing that Phil Robel's saying. I was going to look at something with Dean down in the business district, and there was a teenagers, they looked, well, they were probably 18, that were driving down the sidewalk in front of the nature preserve. We called the sheriff's office and they came and dealt with them. But we would ask for the public's help in that. That is what the code is, that you have to have a driver's license. If you operate a golf cart on Gulf Boulevard, you have to have a tag. And there again, if you're behind a golf cart that you don't see a tag, just pick up your phone when you're stopped. Hopefully, don't text them. And call the sheriff's office and say, hey, there's a blue golf cart near whatever intersection, and they can go there pretty quick. The city code also allows unlicensed or golf carts that do not have tags to cross Gulf Boulevard to go straight over to the beach accesses. So every beach access they can cross. So if they don't have a tag, they're not supposed to be running up down the Gulf Boulevard. So the public can assist the city and the sheriff's office by calling the sheriff if you say that. So give you a few things, announcements. I informed the commission a couple weeks ago, the city applied for a grant from Duke Energy to install our first plug-in charge stations for electric vehicles. More of those on the street. It's a real competitive process. A lot of the bigger cities are installing multiple locations for plug-in charge locations. They've approved 2 for us. We'll have one near the vicinity of here at City Hall. We'll put the other one down in the business district. And that's something we can build on in the future. They're probably going to have a cycle every year of having grants available where they install everything. And then after a number of years, we have some responsibility. I want to thank Nick Wanda particularly for bringing that to our attention. So that's going on. The second thing is I had the pleasure of going with Dean over to the Florida West Coast Branch, APWA. I think Dean came up with that name. And they always give awards to different projects. And as it was indicated earlier, I think by Phil Bell, Pocket Park received the Project of the Year award. This organization is 7 counties. I was contacted by the press about the Pocket Park, and I made it clear at the beginning, the Pocket Park was well on its way and had been, y'all remember y'all had work sessions, had community meetings where people looked at images of beach balls that were being painted in the intersection and all kind of things. And as you recall, there was a dilapidated house that was there before I got here. So there's a lot of people that were involved in that whole idea well before I was here. I got here when the fun part was going on, where everything was approved and we got to pick out all the stuff. So I had the easy. I was involved in the easy part. But on behalf of the staff, I had Hannah said, who's not going to pass it down. I want to congratulate the commission, previous commissions, all the volunteer organizations, the public who came out for all those meetings when Dean handed me a file of renderings and drawings. And this is a citywide project that received an award from 7 county areas. So I'll give this. Just 2 more things, and I'm done, or 3 more things, I'm sorry. In the capital, the 5-year capital improvement plan, there's a line item in there for some improvements, renovations to the museum. That involves replacing all the historic windows in there with modern historic windows. That's going on right now. There's also a project that's part of that we talked about during the budget process where we're going to add a number of new parking spaces on the side of the road next to the museum. The PO has been cut for that. Budget, I'm in the process of working on the budget with staff, particularly Dan Carpenter. We sent out a postcard to the home of every registered voter in town, looking for any and all ideas, feedback on suggestions about the budget. We did that last year. We got a lot of good feedback and suggestions. And the last thing I have, and I don't need an answer tonight, but I just wanted to remind you something that we said we were going to do. In the 5-year capital plan, there's $200,000 in the plan for the possibility of developing a park at the end of East Gulf Boulevard. And it's in the 5-year capital plan, it's referred to as the East Gulf Boulevard Nature Preserve or Nature Park. When that was put in the budget, we've had Jake Zimmerman, who does a lot of our design landscape work. He did a preliminary design. We had the work sessions on it. But during the budget process, one of the things that we agreed to, and we committed to the public we were going to do, would be well before that project would ever be implemented, we would have an open house type setting where people could come in and see renderings of what this is and what it's not. And what I want, because it's part of working the budget, if I ever got one plan, I'd like if y'all can just make a note of these dates and what I'm going to do in the next 2 or 3 days. I'll just poll y'all and we'll see if this will work for you. I'd like to have a drop-in style type session where we'll have 4 or 5 renderings of what this draft of this park looks like with all its amenities and such, where people can come and go. There'll be staff and commissioners involved in that, and then Jake, who did the preliminary design. And then people can ask questions, and then we have tables in here where people can fill out forms and say what they don't like or what they do like about the idea. Because at I want to be in a position at the May meeting, I can have an agenda item on the agenda where we can get consensus if we're going to go forward with that project. If we're not going to go forward with the project, or now that y'all have looked at it again, based on feedback from the public, if you're going to tweak what's there and what's not there. So the 2 dates I'd ask you to look at it is April the 25th or May the 2nd. And those are both Thursdays, and whatever date the majority of the commission members can make that work. Then what I want to do is I want to send out a postcard to home every registered voter in the town to encourage them to come by whatever day y'all pick, to come in, look at the renderings, and give the city feedback about this park, whether people like it or not, if they like different aspects of it, if they want it tweaked, or they just want the property left as a wooded area that serves the purposes of the servant. So if you'll look at your calendars in the next couple days, part of the code, I can do that. I'll poll with y'all individually, and we'll try to work out a date. That way we would have fulfilled our promise to the public of having a work session before we go forward with that project. That's all.
Does anyone have any questions for the city manager? Nick?
Just one. We got new recycling bins today, and I had a couple questions about what to do with the old recycling bins. If I don't know who the best.
Let me tell you what you do your recycling bins, Nick. No. What's going to happen is when tomorrow's recycling day, if you'll put your recycling out in your traditional little small bins, what they're going to do is they're going to pick those up and take them with them. And then you'll use, from that point on, you'll use the larger containers that were delivered today. I will tell you, I'll let Dean finish this. I think there were a number that they ran short on, so it'll be another few days before they get the rest of the cans up. Do you want to go into my update on that?
Yeah, we should have the east side of Gulf Boulevard done by the end of this week, and the west side of Gulf Boulevard, and proceed forward in the next several weeks.
So if you have the new can, we're going to pick up your old containers. If for some reason they've not gotten to you yet, and you don't have the new can, you'll keep what you have, and then when you get your can, they'll pick that up.
Any other questions for the city manager? Okay, agenda item 3C, report of the city commission. Vice Mayor, your last day as Vice Mayor, Mr. Holiday. What would you like to say tonight? You've been a wonderful Vice Mayor.
Yes, it's been a really rewarding time to be Vice Mayor. No, I think I'd just like to welcome the new commissioners to the new session. Looking forward to working with you all. And I'm very excited about the visioning sessions, which are going to start soon, and the related market appraisal or assessment, which is going to be done to give us some background material to help with the visioning sessions. I think that'll be good for the city. I think it'll help to set a roadmap for the long term, and I'm hopeful that that will be reflected into our ordinances. It's going to be a lot of work, and I hope we can get it done this year. I think it might take that long, but I think if we put our minds to it and get enough people from the city involved, I think that we can do it. And thank everyone who's going to be involved with that, and Greg and Cookie for getting the ball rolling on that. Thank you. That's it.
Commissioner Flagg, would you like to say a few words at your first meeting tonight?
Well, yes, I would. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight and for the support I've had. I'm honored to be part of the commission. I take it very seriously, and I look forward to working with the commission, with the city, with the staff, and especially with all of you, because we can make a difference this coming year with all the vision sessions and the things we'd like to accomplish. So thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Hanna?
Gosh, I've never done this before. I don't know what to say. Thank you again for all your support. I appreciate it. Someone mentioned to me earlier, they said, now when do you get sworn in for tonight? And I said, well, I get sworn in at 6:30 and sworn at 7. So that's kind of like the commissioner, but anyway, it's been good. I too echo Diane's thoughts of working with everyone. Our visioning sessions are going to be a real opportunity for you to give your input and for all of us as a team, city commissioners, management, staff, and the citizens to be able to move the city forward. It's quite a city, and I'm going to get a little bit off topic here. I just got out of the hospital, and the outpouring that I had from citizens and cards and emails and visitors was something special. So thank you so much.
Commissioner Palumbo?
You know, I was going to talk about after elections and everything that goes on in a small city, at the end of the day, we're all neighbors, and we all have the same goal and objective for our city. We all want to keep Indian Rocks Beach the way it is. I'm a little going to go off topic for a second. I think we have something really great here, and it's really, you know, we can have our debates, we can have our disagreements, but at the end of the day, we have to look at each other and realize this is a really hard job sometimes, and we really, I don't know, sometimes I didn't know the gravity of the decisions you make up here, and the people you talk to and meet along the way, and the things you have to do and you can't do, and the training that you go through, and the ethical things that we are under. So I think until you kind of go through some of those things, it's really hard to imagine the responsibility. And I just think sometimes we should think about that and remember what the people up here go through. So I'm just going to stop there.
I'm going to go over some of the dates this year that we have coming up soon, so in case anyone would like to attend. We have the March 28th, which is on Thursday, is the Red Tide Summit, where Indian Rocks Beach is partnering with the county. If you don't have a ticket, you'll have to watch it. It is going to be on the Pinellas County Government Channel live. We're very excited, 350 people, and we're thrilled that our city is stepped up to the plate and is part of such a huge issue that involves all of the beach communities, not just ourselves. So we're all going to learn. It's going to be an open classroom, and we're very thrilled and can't wait for Thursday night. On April 1st, which is Conversations with the Mayor from 4 to 6:30, that's Monday. It's always the first Monday of the month if you'd like to stop by. We have on April 6th and 7th a citywide garage sale, and you don't have to have a permit. Anyone can put out their goods during the 6th and the 7th. On April 8th, we have A2K has a social hour at 5:30, and at 6:30 they have their monthly meeting, which is at the, we're not having it?
No social.
No social, so we're just having the monthly meeting at 6:30. Okay. And that will be at the library. Beach Arts Center. Okay, all right. On the 9th, we have Coffee with the Cop. We have that quarterly. It will be from 7:30 to 9 a.m. and it will be at Krabby Bill's. Okay. And then we have our next regular scheduled meeting will be 7 p.m. on April 9th. So in case you want to attend any of those meetings. I want to welcome Diane Flagg again. We're thrilled that she's here. And I also want to make mention that we've had the first meeting for our second annual IRB Women's Tea, which will be November 2nd from 1 to 3 at Church of the Isles. And with that, we will move on to additions and deletions. Do we have any? None tonight. And then agenda item number 5 is the consent agenda. Would you like to read this?
Happily, Mayor. There were 2 items on the consent agenda. Item A, approval of the February 12, 2019 regular City Commission meeting minutes. Item B, approval of the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget calendar. Those are all items on the consent agenda this evening, Commission.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And is there a second?
Second.
It's all in favor.
And is all in favor?
It works fine that way.
We motion it?
You don't always do it, no, but it's, either way, it's fine.
Thank you.
So,
Agenda item number 6.
we still need to vote on it, though.
Okay, let's vote. All in favor? I said all in favor. Everybody said aye?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, didn't I go?
Okay. Agenda item number 6, public hearing. It's agenda, it's 6A, which is a quasi-judicial proceeding. And Randy, would you read?
There's no ordinance to read, Mayor. This is Thomas E. George Jr. doing business as Hurricane Eddie's Indian Rocks Beach Incorporated has requested a 4 COP alcoholic beverage use designation. That's a liquor consumption on premises and package sales for the establishment Hurricane Eddie's located at 1407 Gulf Boulevard, Indian Rocks Beach, Florida, legally described as Indian Beach, revised block 29, lot 16. Will anybody who is planning to offer testimony before this body please stand and raise your right hand? That includes the applicant, city staff, and otherwise. Anybody who plans to testify, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are going to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Is there anybody who's conducted well, actually that's not, has anybody had any ex parte communications with the applicant concerning this application? No, sir. Record reflecting none.
This is this is an application for a transfer of a alcoholic beverage license of a 4 COP from Red Lion to Hurricane Eddie's. And as you go through the agenda packet and the agenda memo, and it talks about the state, and it's a quota beverage license which allows for the sale of beer, wine, and liquor by the drink, and also in sealed containers for consumption on or off the premises were sold. And it's the exact same license that Red Lion had. And after review of the application by the city's planning consultant, it was determined that Hurricane Eddie's was in compliance with section 6-32 and section 110, 131, parentheses 6B, permitted uses of the Indian Rocks Beach Code of Ordinances. However, the applicant is not in compliance with resolution number 2002-95. The maximum number of seats allowed at this location is 98 with 25 parking places. Therefore, they need to reduce their number of seating as they have requested a higher number. Next, and if you see on the survey, they show lot 15 and 16, and this pertains to lot 16 only. That's the building that the alcohol will be sold from. I do have a little thing here to show here. It's going to be this one right here, facing Gulf Boulevard. Then the next one is the seating plan where they're showing us, and I think they're over by they're over by seatings, and we're going to work with them to reduce the seating to be compliant. Staff recommends approval following the following stipulations. A maximum number of 98 sittings with 25 parking places per resolution 2002-95, and with the repeated and intermittent nuisance activity and/or unlawful noise level originating from the establishment or parking area may result in the revocation of the alcoholic beverage designation. And the next slide is the outdoor seating, which is facing Gulf Boulevard. This is the front parking lot. This is the back parking lot. This is also a picture of the back parking lot. This is the side parking lot. This is also the side parking lot. This is 15th Avenue parking lot, and this building here is also, this is lot 15, but will not be housing alcoholic beverages and sale of alcoholic beverages. And this is another picture of the side of the building. And it's another picture of the side of the building, and that is it.
Does anyone on the commission have any questions for Deanna before we go to the applicant? Anyone? If the applicant would like to come forward at this time. State your name and your address.
My name is Tom George Jr. I live in Dunedin at 2676 Bristol Circle in Dunedin, Florida.
You want to tell us a little bit about?
Basically, this is number 14. I've been in the bar restaurant business for 21 years. We started with one. It was actually a project, a lot to do with my father. He retired, he's a retired general contractor. He didn't take retirement very well. He's worked all his life, and to see him sitting down and doing nothing really hurt. So we got together, we decided to start buying some older bars that are run down, which I'm sure everyone here will agree Red Lion is lacking some love. We do plan on and have already preliminary drawings done, submitted to your building official and your fire official to go ahead and do a total rehab on it, including ADA compliant bathrooms, new kitchens, new furniture throughout. We will come into compliance with the 98 seats. We are aware of that. We bought it, it had more seats in it. I believe that was brought on when the previous owner brought in picnic tables. It put her over the edge, I believe, for seating. But during the remodel, we will go ahead and comply with the 98 seats. And hopefully we see a good staple. I don't think I can live up to the owners, but you know. But we do pretty well in Dunedin. We have Eddie's up in Dunedin. We've been nominated many times for Business of the Year in Dunedin. And we're all about community. We love the sports teams. We're all about being local, being in the community. I don't know what else to say.
Thank you for your presentation. Does anyone on the commission have a question for the applicant? Yes, Nick.
So I was just looking, there's a couple things, obviously you know it has history and with neighbors and the community, and I was wondering if you had any opportunity to think about how you're going to reach out to the neighbors that are around. There's been a lot of issues with people leaving, urinating on properties allegedly, and other things, and parking and so forth. Have you put any thought into that?
I haven't heard of any of that yet. I was actually going to speak with the sheriff now that I know you have the deputies here all the time to find out what more of the issues are. We did install 36 cameras throughout so we can monitor the parking lots and everything. We don't run bad places. We won't put up with that. We'll actually enforce to an extent a dress code. We use that to push out a lot of the lower clientele that just nobody wants to deal with. We don't have fights in our establishments. We have everything from an 1,800 square foot bar to a 23,000 square foot country bar that can handle 2,600 people. We just don't have issues. We won't tolerate it. You know, we want a nice clean place and be a part of the community, and it's not anything of what you see there. It will all be changed, I promise you.
Yeah, that's great. And you know, I at least want to give a chance to a new person, and that's why I asked. You know, there is some history, and I would say as a recommendation, there's many letters that were written by people, and I would take some time just to figure out how you would, work with those people, because they could.
And originally we came in, and that's why the application's actually under Hurricane Eddie's. We came in because it had such a bad stigma to it that we were actually going to change it and put a whole new concept in. I purchased the business on a Wednesday. your community showed up in force on Saturday with like 300 people that came through the doors thanking me for buying it. Everything, please don't kill the Red Lion. So we're actually going to keep it the Red Lion. We'll submit paperwork to change it from Hurricane Eddie's to keep it your local community Red Lion. We're just going to make it so much better. We have done the food. If you haven't eaten there, give us a couple more weeks, but we're tweaking it, and it's going to be really nice.
The only thing that I just wanted to ask was, I saw in the sheriff's report something about an arson, and could you just explain what?
An arson?
In info on 30 Causeway Boulevard in Bar Dunedin.
Oh, the inn.
Yes.
We purchased the inn, I believe it was in July of 2016. We also purchased in October Eddie's Bar, which again was similar to what the Red Lion is. It was run down, nasty, dirty. Due to the dollar values, we went up there and decided to remodel Eddie's ahead of time. In the meantime, the inn was 56 years old and had some wiring issues, and down in the base of the bar, apparently been smoldering for years, it finally broke through and ignited. The bartender there was 11:30 during the day. There was 4 people in the bar. They grabbed a fire extinguisher, which even I didn't know you cannot use a fire extinguisher on electrical fire. Apparently when they did that, it just spread. Everybody got out. There was no injuries. The bar was a complete loss. Truthfully, on my side, it was a blessing in disguise because I didn't know how to remodel it and make it what it is today. We already had plans, but again, it's when you get in those small communities similar to yours, we don't want to upset the apple cart. So the fire was a blessing in disguise. We took a bar doing $3,000 in sales a week up to $25,000 a week. Again, welcomed by the communities. We've had no issues, noise violations. We watch all that. I live in a community. I wouldn't want to hear drunk people screaming, radio. I don't blame you all for that. I have no issues with that. And we won't put up with that. But that was the fire. It wasn't an arson. That's why it kind of threw me off with arson.
Okay, and I went and did some searches today. I'm like, I saw something about a fire. I just wanted to make sure.
There was a fire. It wasn't arson.
I just want to make sure
it wasn't insured for that much, I can promise you. The insurance barely covers the removal of the debris.
Is there anyone else who'd like to ask Mr. George a question? Mr. George, I'm going to open up the public hearing now. If you'd like to have a seat.
Sure.
Is there anyone who would like to speak on this agenda item? Please come forward at this time. Is there anyone wishing to speak against it? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing. And is there a motion to approve or deny?
Motion to approve ABT case number 07-2019.
With the stipulations?
With the stipulation that the seating must be in compliance with the city codes and that any excessive noise or public disturbances may result in the revocation of the license.
Second.
Any comments?
We are fortunate to have someone invest in our community, and I look forward to it being a successful venture for the community and for the investors.
Yeah, saying feedback so far from people who've gone there, seen the difference, and look, I've been to other places that are owned in Dunedin, and I've seen what you could do. So,
Any of the other commissioners like to say anything? Okay. Dan, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hannah?
Yes.
Commissioner Fly?
Yes.
Commissioner Palumbo?
yes.
Commissioner Hufnagel?
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy?
Yes. Thank you. It passes, and good luck, Mr. George. Okay.
Mayor, before we move on to the second topic, I know it was in my report, but I just wanted to let you know something that we've been working on is sort of a revamp to this process. I know there's been some confusion over what are the applicable criteria, if any, how much of this can really be handled administratively. And so the city staff is cognizant of that issue and the challenge that this process has presented historically, and we're working on that.
Okay, we are on 6B, BOA case 201901. Would you like to?
Happily, Mayor. This is Board of Adjustment case number 2019-01, a variance request of 5 feet, given the BOA, because that's what we generate. Variance request of 5 feet into the required 25 feet rear yard setback, resulting in a total rear yard setback of 20 feet to allow for an addition for property legally described as Lot 40 in the west half of Lot 39, 15th addition to the re-revised map of Indian Rocks Beach, located at 541 20th Avenue, Indian Rocks Beach, Florida. Property ID 0630-1542-300 0000400. This is a quasi-judicial hearing, as you recall. In a quasi-judicial hearing, you are not making law, but rather applying the facts to establish criteria. Has anybody on this body conducted a site visit for the express purpose of evaluating this application?
No.
Let the record reflect all have responded in the negative. Has anybody had any ex parte communications with the applicant concerning this application?
Yes.
Commissioner Hanna, do you feel that your communications in any way impair your ability to impartially adjudicate the matter before you this evening?
No.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I spoke to the applicant and told him how to go through the process with the city.
Okay.
For the record.
Okay. And do you feel that that in exchange in any way impairs your ability to impartially adjudicate this?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Will anybody who plans to offer testimony before this body concerning this variance application please stand and raise your right hand? That includes staff, the applicant, anybody who intends to offer testimony. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are going to give this body is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, folks. With that, staff, you may begin the process.
All right, as stated, he was looking for a variance for a setback on the rear yard setback. As you can see, the property is located at the very end of 20th Avenue. This is the existing survey of the lot, and what he wants to do is add on at the same level for his in-laws to be able to move into the house. I have a very colorful picture here just to show you. Well, how we measure our setbacks is from the seawall. The blue on the picture is the actual seawall. The green is the actual property line. So, and the purple dash right here is the setback from the seawall. What he wants to do is have the setback from the property line versus the seawall on it. You can see the orangish brown is the new outline of the proposal of the house. Then it would be all on one level. This is the existing house. This is the backyard of the existing house, and then this is the other view of the backyard. I do have a letter that was submitted from adjacent property owners, and I'll read it into the record. It says, "Dear IRB City Council, we support Mr. and Mrs. Farrington's request for a 5-foot variance at 541 20th Avenue, IRB, Florida 33785. This request has no negative impact on the property or surrounding properties in the neighborhood. The request is to update and improve the current property for a long-term resident and not for weekly, monthly rental. We collectively support this variance and urge the council to approve this request. Thank you for consideration collectively." We've got C.J. Brown at 465 20th Avenue, Kevin McGrath at 473 20th Avenue, Steve Small at 544 20th Avenue, and we've got Adam Jensen, who is at 533 Harbor Drive North, Kelly Futhner at 414 Harbor Drive South, and we've got a resident that signed it at from 530 20th Avenue, and the actual property owner is Elizabeth Daniels. The staff recommended denial based on section 2-152. The Board of Adjustment denied this by a vote of 4-0. With that, are there any questions?
Does anyone on the commission have a question for Hetty? Hearing none, is the applicant, if you would like to come forward at this time? Give us a presentation.
What's that?
You can give us your presentation.
Okay, my name is Michael Farrington at 541 20th. I'm a property owner.
looking to obviously do some renovations to the property that we have. We want to make this a long-term residence for my wife and I and our family. The long-term goal is to move family members into the home, for the reason why we do not want to build up. And we asked for this hardship and variance based on the property line. You see in the blue is the actual seawall, and the green is the property line. Per the code, we're allowed to actually build out, if I wanted to redo the seawall, out to the property line to actually accommodate the 5-foot variance that we are requesting. As opposed to doing that, I'm asking for the variance to not build a new seawall. Instead, having the 5-foot variance, it's not the entire backside that we're trying to build our property on. The portion of it on the right side that you see on your screen goes out and it kind of tapers down. It's kind of hard to see on that because that's not really a great illustration on what we're trying to do, but it kind of tapers down. It's 5 feet in the right corner and tapers down to about 2 feet at the end. It's not the entire 5 feet that we're actually trying to accommodate the property. Once again, we've looked at all options with my architect, trying to build a property. We wanted to keep some yard in the front and the side for the kids to play. Obviously, there's no, the street, there's no sidewalk. So we kind of lost that option on the right side of the property to build out that way, based on we wanted some room for kids to be able to play. I guess the second half of it is we have letters. There seems to be no impact from neighbors. No one seems to be opposed to us doing this progress and building what we want to build. We're not trying to build a mega mansion. We don't want to build up and go 3-4 stories up to impede anyone's view from behind us or anywhere else. Once again, we're trying to move. Eventually, my parents are older in age, and long-term goal is to get them to live with us and not into a retirement home. And we're trying to accommodate that by keeping it 1 story. And I'm just curious, duplexes are allowed, I believe, 20 feet is what their variance requested, or variance allowances based on duplexes. And so I'm just kind of asking for the same consideration for my projects as well. Other than that, I have pretty much nothing else. We're just, like I said, we're looking to get the property back that we lost from the seawall build prior to me buying the property, to be able to allow that 5 foot to build this, do this project.
Is there anyone who has any questions for Mr. Carrington?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Mike, can you get by with a little less than 5 feet if you had to?
It's like I said, it's about 4 feet 10 inches on that corner side there,
right.
And then it tapers down to about 2 feet as you go along to the lanai out there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what it's a lanai area on that side right there. So if we had to, we could turn the lanai and lose that space right there, but we'd rather not. To get that 5 feet just in that little area would be a significant gain to the project.
Or you have to move the seawall back out.
Or I've got to build a seawall.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions for the applicant?
Penny, in lieu of Mike discussing the fact that his parents would possibly come down, was there anything about the hardship for parents or any of that?
I'll speak to that.
Okay.
The criteria is a hardship.
Okay. All right. Mike, I'm going to have you sit down.
Okay.
We'll
Thank you.
Thank you. We'd like to open the public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to speak for this agenda item? Is there anyone wishing to speak against? If not, I will close the public hearing, and I'm looking for a motion to approve or deny.
Motion to approve BOA case number 2019-01.
I'll second that.
So I think the question is whether there is a hardship created by the seawall, because clearly we would not be having this discussion if the seawall mirrored the property line. Of the opinion that the existence of that seawall being off of the property line has created a hardship that the buyer did not create. It was told to us just now that that seawall had been rebuilt prior to his purchase of the home. So I do view that as a defect in the land. And given that it seems to me to be a defect in the land, I would be inclined to grant the variance, because from what I'm seeing on the survey, it seems like it would not be a variance if there had not been a defect in the seawall. That's just my 2 cents.
I concur, Ed. It was my view as well with the bringing that seawall back in. He's actually lost property that he has no utility for use of. And if it had been constructed properly, we wouldn't be here tonight. So I think there is definitely a hardship.
Patty, I have a question. At the BOA case, was there a discussion about the property that we're talking about right now, as far as the seawall?
Yes, we've discussed it. They felt that it was, that he could rebuild the seawall, and then he'd be okay, is how I kind of felt, that it came out of that meeting. So, and this isn't the only place in town that's like this either, just so you know that. It does vary. Sometimes the seawall's outside of the property line, sometimes it's inside the property line. So.
Do you find that the radius, those properties with a radius are usually the ones in question, harder to work with?
It really varies, but I think that's had a lot of issues with this, was the radius.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else that is wishing to speak at this time?
I just want to say that when the BOA takes a look at this, they go by codes based on everyone's property, and there are irregular properties located all throughout our city with the created land, with seawall irregularities when you purchase it. It's on the survey. I certainly would like to see a remodel, but I think we need to just be careful if we open up variances for people wanting to remodel and going back into the setbacks. It's something we really need to think about for future variances, because there could be a lot of them. I would like to know that there's no other hardship that you have on the property except the seawall was put short of where it should have been. And I'm assuming that was shown on the original survey when you purchased the property.
I believe it was, yes.
Any other questions? Commission? Okay. Deanne, do you want to call the roll?
Commissioner Palumbo?
Yes.
Commissioner Fly?
No.
Commissioner Hanna?
Yes.
Commissioner Hoofnagel?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
No.
By your vote of 3-2, this measure passes and the variance is granted.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are on agenda item 6C, BOA case number 2019-02, another quasi-judicial. Randy, if you would like to read this.
Yes, Madam Mayor. BOA case number 2019-02. This is a variance request of 7 feet into the required 7 feet side yard setback, resulting in a total side yard setback of 0.0 feet to allow for a new structure for property legally described as Lot 11, Block 7, Indian Rocks Beach subdivision, located at 2 4th Avenue, Indian Rocks Beach, Florida. Property ID 12 30 14 42 858 007 0110. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. As with the previous variance, you are not creating law, but applying law to establish criteria for the consideration of a variance. Has anybody conducted a site visit for the express purpose of evaluating this application? That is to say, not I drive by this and I'm familiar, but did you conduct a site visit for the purpose of this application?
No.
Thank you. Let the record reflect all respond in the negative. Has anybody had any ex parte communications with the applicant or their agents or representatives for the purpose of discussing this application? No. Record reflect all respond in the negative. All who plan to offer testimony before this body concerning this matter, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are going to give before this body is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you. Staff?
The property in question is at 2 Fourth Avenue. This is the existing survey, which has 2 residences on the property. The residences are outlined in red. You can see that the one is over the property line. This property is a 45-foot wide property, where most of the other platted properties are 50 feet. Over history of time of this property, they installed a fence out in the right-of-way and have been using that property through a license agreement with the city. What the owner is proposing is that we remove the existing fence, build up to the property line with covered parking. We have a sidewalk up and down in front of the street with a concrete driveway, and there will be landscaping along the property line. This is a picture looking down 4th Avenue towards the beach. Just getting a little closer, you can see that it sticks out into the right-of-way. There's a chain link fence along here where the cars do park on the property. And as you can see, this is the rear of the property. This is looking from the beach to the east. So what they're proposing is to remove this fence along in here. The house would be approximately where this existing house is, just a touch backward, about a foot. And the parking would be underneath the new structure. On that, the staff did recommend approval, and the Board of Adjustment recommended approval 4-0.
Could you deal with that? I asked it, Randy,
Yes.
briefly explain the license agreement.
Yes, it's a little unorthodox for me speaking in this posture, but we have discussed this property previously in a different posture, not in a quasi-judicial posture. Procedurally reminding you that at that time we were considering a license agreement for a then would-be purchaser who would be permitted to construct within the same footprint and operate in that space because of a decades-long history dating, well, decades before my existence on this earth, issues with this property line. And so that license agreement is not being moved, they're not moving forward with that anymore. In lieu of that, at that time it was kind of a blank check, we'll see what purchaser comes. The purchaser who has now come has said, I'm not interested in that, I'm moving forward with a variance application. Their variance application is for that area that was the beach access, and I don't mean that it's actually what you use, but it's what is dedicated as a beach access. Where that fence goes to, they will be able to build up to that same line as they have occupied it consistently since at least the 1950s. And that is the variance they seek now. As a result, that would make the need for a license agreement unnecessary because they're going to come back to basically where their lot line is, and any part of it that it goes beyond their actual lot line that they are inhabiting today will come back into being part of the beach access. So there's no need to allow for the continued occupation of city property. They would be as proposed in this application, they are yielding whatever portion of that property has historically been occupied, though owned by the city, and occupied pursuant to a license agreement, no license agreement, variance to the lot line. That's the proposal. Yield back.
Guys, would emphasize what Randy just covered, and we had discussions back several months ago about this beach property. I know it caused some heartburn with a couple of commissioners about the status of this property. Since either let's vacate it and get out of it, or try to get it back. And this is a win-win for the city, for the new property owner, because we can reestablish or reclaim access to that beach access. And I'll tell you that's, you are familiar with our beach accesses. That's probably one of the busier ones in town, the Holiday Inn. And it gives us a whole opportunity to kind of remap that whole thing. So it's in the staff's opinion, there's no downside to this.
Any questions to the staff? If the applicant or whoever would like to speak for the applicant would like to come forward.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Katie Cole with the law firm of Hill Ward Henderson, representing the applicant in this application. Certainly, we provided the justification for the criteria in our application, and the staff report also recites the compliance with the code criteria and evidence to that. One thing I would like to highlight, not to belabor this, is Mr. Mora, when he spoke, said it would allow occupying to the existing fence line. I just want to clarify that's not the case. The existing fence is about 12 feet outside of the property line. So the area that's being occupied today is about 12 feet into the right-of-way from the current property line. This proposed variance allows a zero setback to the property line, so the city's gaining back that 12 feet. As the city manager spoke, Mr. Mims said, it really resolves decades-long actual litigation, potential litigation, disputes between the north and south property, because to your point, Commissioner Clyde, there's a question in the title history as to why this lot was platted as a 50-foot lot, but it exists as a 45-foot. At the P&Z hearing, we learned from one of the members there's apparently a long history of some of these beach accesses and how they were acquired. And so this lot is unique at 45 feet, despite the fact it was platted at 50 feet as well. So happy to answer questions specifically, but certainly the evidence so far in the record shows how this site complies with those criteria in your code. So we would appreciate your support.
Does anyone have any questions for Katie at this time from the commission? Questions? Okay. Katie, why don't you sit down? We'll go on and we'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak for this agenda?
Yes. John House, 2104 Beach Trail. I think there's 250 lots-ish that are substandard, and I do believe that 45-foot lot in this zoning is a substandard lot. Am I correct? Because it's less than, and the county does have it listed as a 45 by 100, and we do now have a grandfather clause in for footprint for substandard lots, and this is less than footprint, so I don't see how it can be turned down because there are less than existing footprint on a substandard lot. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Hearing none, is there anyone against who would like to speak? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve BOA case number 2019-02.
Second.
Second. Any comments?
I've discussed this one before.
That makes total sense. It cleans up a decades-old problem. The city gets back the property and everybody goes down the road.
And while we are saying things for the record, Attorney Cole did properly characterize my statements, and it was a misstatement that she properly addressed.
Ed, would you like to?
Yeah, I think that the hardship here is created by the existence of the disputed portion of that property. And there's more history than was discussed here on that section of property which the new homeowner has graciously agreed to relinquish.
Yes.
It is not clear to me that it was actually owned by the city. We'll leave it at that. I do support this.
Okay. Anyone else? Ian, would you like to call the roll?
Commissioner Hufnagel,
Yes?
Commissioner Clyde,
Yes.
Commissioner, Commissioner Hannah,
Yes.
Commissioner Palumbo,
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes. Yay. All right, thank you very much. We're going to move on now to 7A, other legislative matters, with resolution number 2019-01. Randy, would you like to read?
I will, Mayor, as soon as I get there, does anybody know what page that's on? Sorry.
Mr. Help, pass this paperwork.
It's 155.
Thank you. Resolution number, Resolution 2019-01, City of Indian Rocks Beach, a resolution of the City of Indian Rocks Beach, Florida, accepting the official results of the 2019 municipal election for 2 city commission seats held on Tuesday, March 12, 2019, and providing for an effective date. This has been a reading of Resolution 2019-01 by title only.
Deanna, would you like to present?
These are the election results for the March 12, 2019 election, as certified by the Supervisor of Elections.
And you just need a motion?
Do you need a motion?
Okay. Does anyone would like to?
Motion to approve Resolution 2019-01.
Second.
Any comments from the
Probably
maker?
so.
Okay. All in favor?
We need to
Go out to public,
comment.
okay. Is there anyone in the public who would like to come forward and speak on this agenda item? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, 7B, resolution number 2019-02. Randy, would you like to read?
I would, again, I would appreciate it if anybody could let me know what age that is.
I think it was 150.
170, starts on 170.
Thank you very much. City of Indian Rocks Beach, resolution number 2019-02, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Indian Rocks Beach, Florida, appointing a member of the City Commission to serve as Vice Mayor Commissioner and providing for an effective date. This has been a reading of 2019-02 by title only.
Deanna, would you like to present this?
This is the nomination for Vice Mayor.
And where are we in the appointment at this year?
It would be Commissioner Hannah. However, Commissioner Hoofnagel did bring up a good point to me last year that with the way we do it, if Commissioner Palumbo didn't run next year, he would never get a chance to be the Vice Mayor, whereas Commissioner Hannah has been the Vice Mayor before. So it's between the two of them.
Okay. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion?
A nomination.
I mean, a nomination.
Do we have to make these shirts?
I think I'd like to nominate Nicholas to be the Vice Mayor, whereas we are affectionately called the Mayor of Vices.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. We'll go out to the public. Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this agenda item? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. We have a first and a second, and
Are you amenable to this designation?
Yes.
I'd like to know what the platform is. So,
You don't have to discuss that in the morning.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, we're on 7C, resolution number 2019-03.
174.
Yep, got it. I'm learning. Resolution number 2019-03, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Indian Rocks Beach, Florida, appointing a voting delegate and first and second alternate voting delegates to represent the City of Indian Rocks Beach at the Barrier Islands Governmental Council Big C meetings and providing for an effective date. It's been a reading of 2019-03 by title.
Deanne, would you like to present this item?
This is the appointments to the Big C, and last year, the voting delegate was Mayor Kennedy, and usually it's the mayors that are the voting delegate. And our first alternate was Commissioner Palumbo, with second alternate Ed Hoofnagel, Commissioner Hoofnagel. So there needs to be a motion, a discussion.
Mayor Kennedy, I'd just like to state that my working commitments have prohibited me from attending these meetings for the last 10 months. I don't see that changing, so I'd like to decline the nomination for this possible.
Okay, thank you.
I would concur at minimum second alternate would be acceptable for me. I have not done a good job in the last few months of making it myself, but
Well, I have done a good job, I know more. Glad to be the representative from our city for the Barrier Island Government Council.
So who would be interested in the first alternate?
And we need a first alternate, and then I guess Nick would be the second alternate. You know, whoever.
Nominate Diane Clyde for the person?
I second.
That's fine.
I need to know all.
So make a resolution, motion to approve resolution 2019-03, appointing Mayor Cookie Kennedy as the voting delegate, Commissioner Diane Flagg as the first alternate, and Commissioner Nick Palumba as the second alternate voting delegate to represent the city of Indian Rocks Beach at the Barrier Islands Government Council Big C meetings.
That was very good. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Is there anyone in the public? I'd like to open the public hearing, if you would like to speak on this agenda item. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Deanne, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, work sessions, we don't have any tonight. There is no other business. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
I think we have the schedule for the budget meetings.
That was on the consent agenda.
Okay, just make sure. Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Good night. Thank you.